Imagine the ground-shaking fury of opening your front door to Susan Whitaker, clipboard clutched like a weapon, her designer heels stabbing the pavement as she thrusts a violation notice, demanding $500 monthly for daring to park your own work trucks in your driveway, as if the entire suburb bowed to her whims. This self-crowned HOA queen, who had lorded over Oakwood Estates in Fairview County, Oregon for 6 relentless years, threatened foreclosure on my home, while her husband's hulking RV lounged unchecked in their yard like a smug emblem of double standards. Little did she suspect that deep in the county's dusty deed archives lay a bombshell. Through quiet acquisitions, I owned every single house on the block, granting me ironclad control to dismantle her petty empire and turn her from tyrant to laughingstock. The saga ignited 6 months earlier when I, Alex Rivera, a 52-year-old third-generation head of Rivera Building Services, a thriving outfit raking in $2.5 million annually with 18 dedicated crew members, snagged a charming 4-bedroom bungalow in this seemingly idyllic suburb for $520,000 in cold cash, fresh off a divorce. That felt like a demolition derby on my finances, with my ex's lawyers scavenging every asset they could unearth. This place promised a clean slate. Tree-lined streets where the morning air carried the crisp scent of pine needles mingling with neighbors brewing coffee, and evenings alive with the distant hum of lawnmowers tending to emerald lawns. I poured another $35,000 into renovations, fresh paint, upgraded fixtures, and a landscaped yard that turned heads, parking my essential fleet neatly in the expansive driveway. A robust concrete mixer truck, a reliable flatbed for hauling materials, and a crew hauler pickup that had seen more job sites than most folks see vacations. For the first few months, harmony reigned. I kept my property impeccable, volunteering to repair cracked sidewalks for elderly Mrs. Ellis next door without charging a dime, even carrying her groceries on rainy days when her arthritis flared. My truck sat legally and unobtrusively, no different from the boats, luxury SUVs, and recreational vehicles dotting other driveways. Then, like a storm cloud blotting the sun, I encountered Susan Whitaker. At 59, a retired insurance executive with a penchant for power, she had reigned as HOA president unchallenged, residing in the neighborhood's crown jewel, a sprawling Tudor-style mansion valued at $900,000 that screamed old money. Her daily patrols at precisely 8:15 a.m. were legendary, heels clicking like a countdown to confrontation, clipboard at the ready to measure grass heights or scrutinize mailbox alignments. Our first meeting set the tone. No warm welcome or neighborly chat, just a curt, "We uphold certain standards here, Mr. Rivera," delivered with the air of a border guard eyeing a suspicious passport. I shrugged it off, focusing on rebuilding my life and business. But that crisp October morning shattered the peace. A certified letter arrived like a legal ambush, its bold red header screaming violation notice. It accused my commercial vehicles of eroding aesthetic standards and plummeting property values, mandating immediate removal or a $500 monthly impact fee. The audacity burned. My trucks were vital tools of my trade, parked on private property I owned free and clear. Diving into the HOA covenants that night, poring over every clause under the glow of my desk lamp, I found no such restriction. Yet every Wednesday, Susan's son Ryan's landscaping crew idled their diesel trailers, industrial mowers, and chemical sprayers in plain view for hours unchallenged. Emboldened by principle, I marched to her door that evening, the autumn chill nipping at my heels. Susan answered, silhouetted in her grand entryway like a fortress. "Guardian, I've reviewed the rules. No ban on work vehicles," I stated calmly. Her response? A frosty smile that could chill concrete. "The board can enact measures for community welfare. Your industrial eyesores don't belong in a residential haven." When I pointed out her son's rigs, she dismissed it. "That's essential maintenance, not permanent storage like yours." In that moment, the veil lifted. This wasn't about rules. It was a power play, perhaps tinged with disdain for a blue-collar entrepreneur disrupting her vision of upscale uniformity. Susan didn't dally in. Escalation. 3 days later, another certified missive announced an emergency board meeting. Barely 24 hours notice, violating bylaws outright. I attended, stepping into her vanilla-scented living room to find just 3 faces: Susan, her crony Helen Brooks, and a disinterested landlord named Tom. The air reeked of contrived urgency as Susan proclaimed from her ornate chair, "We're addressing the vehicle blight." I hit record on my phone discreetly. "This breaches notice requirements," I countered. Her retort, "Emergencies allow flexibility." No emergency existed, my trucks had been there months. Tom mumbled about property values. Helen avoided eye contact. Then Susan declared a vote on a new ordinance, fining noncompliance $100 daily, supposedly. Passed pre-meeting in secret. It was a farce, a kangaroo court ignoring equal protection and fiduciary duties I'd learned about during my divorce battles. That weekend, fueled by coffee and determination, I turned detective. Public records revealed Ryan storing equipment overnight twice weekly, flouting the very standards Susan preached. George, her husband, had his 35-foot RV and boat trailer permanently ensconced in their side yard, blatant violations. At Tuesday's full board meet in the community center, I arrived armed with a bulging folder, inviting Mrs. Ellis and neighbor Ethan Hayes as witnesses. Before Susan could steer to my infractions, I laid out photos like evidence in a trial: Ryan's rigs, George's setup, 3 other homes with vans and boats unscathed. "This is targeted harassment," I declared. Silence blanketed the room, broken only by the hum of the AC. Susan flushed crimson, stammering about grandfathered exemptions and temporary allowances. "Show the docs," I pressed. Crickets. Ethan chimed in. "When were these clauses made?" More evasion. I brandished my phone. "All recorded for my lawyer. Every excuse is evidence." Susan's facade cracked, her voice pitched high. "Continue disrupting, and we'll escalate." Threat noted, and ammunition gained. Digging deeper with my accountant pal Carlos Ellis, Mrs. Ellis's son, we uncovered Susan's financial skeletons. Bankruptcy 3 years prior, dual refinances in 18 months. Credit riddled with red flags. Patterns emerged. She'd hounded specific owners into below-market sales, flipping them to affluent buyers. This was systematic gentrification, using HOA clout to purge undesirables like working-class families. Attorney Laura Mendoza, an HOA dispute shark, reviewed my dossier and filed for audits, citing breaches of duty and selective enforcement. Susan detonated. A city van rolled up Wednesday, inspector in tow, her old insurance crony, probing anonymous noise complaints. He toured for 20 minutes, Susan whispering cues, but emerged praising my setup. "Exceeds code. No issues." Her face twisted in defeat. Undeterred, a state licensing board letter alleged illegal ops. Fabrications reeked of her touch. Laura quashed it, but the stress mounted. Susan's beautification levy vote proposed $6,000 per home. Her pitch at the center droned on about quality residents, her retirees nodding while families blanched. Post-meeting, she cornered me in the lot. "This ends if you're reasonable. $60,000 relocation fee." Recorded gold, extortion. The neighborhood fractured. Ethan's garage hosted resistance huddles. Susan formed a standards committee. Mrs. Ellis confided threats of senior living suggestions. 3 families faced liens over trumped-up violations. Ethan cited. For kids' bikes, teacher Olivia Grant dinged for her modest sedan. Susan announced a tie-up with Summit Developments. Glossy's promising luxury revamps, omitting George's consulting. Gigs matching their mortgage payments. Ethan snapped pics of clandestine meets. Audits exposed fund diversions for her debts. Emails surfaced, targeting demographics for optimization, code for discrimination against minorities, elders, singles. Harassment peaked. Liens on 5 homes, including mine, slashed tires, sugared tanks. Fake reviews tanking my biz. CPS probing Ethan's family. APS harassing Mrs. Ellis. Susan blocked streets, clipboard waving at my drivers. But her hubris blinded her to my ace. The revelation struck in the recorder's office amid rain-lashed windows. Clerk Ethel unveiled 1985 plats. My lot marked master developer. Rights intact, transferred unwittingly at purchase. Laura hooped. You veto rules, hold 51% votes, remove boards. We let Susan overextend, documenting embezzlement, $52,000, kickbacks, abuses. Sabotage intensified, smears escalated. Overreaches like license suspension bids failed. Climax hit at the jammed. Annual meet. 92 owners, cams rolling, sheriff present. Olivia petitioned resignation. Ethan exposed timelines. Mrs. Ellis wept threats. I strode up, deeds projected, as block owner via. Shells, I void everything. Fines, liens, rules. Gasps thundered. Susan shrieked forgery, but seals proved it. Board ousted for fraud, embezzlement probe. Sheriff detained her mid-escape amid. Roaring cheers, news lights flashing like victory pyrotechnics. Empire raised, justice cemented in a cinematic blaze. Yet, was my covert blocked by ethical empowerment or shadowy manipulation? Did absolute ownership justify the ambush or erode fair play against corruption? 2 years on, Susan pled guilty, fined $60,000 seeding trade scholarships, George bankrupt, board reborn. Inclusive, my biz surged, festivals fostered unity, reforms rippled statewide. Neighborhood blooms with diversity, not division, trucks gleaming as resilience badges. But ponder, in power struggles. Does hidden leverage serve justice or invite abuse? Share below, fair or foul. Your HOA tales, justice takes, community rifts. Let's debate right versus wrong.